We're sitting there trying to figure out how to parent with all this new technology and all this old technology and all this weird stuff that's going on. This is a tool for you to put in your toolbox and say, this will help me parent better because we're going to try and avoid escalating conflict and be able to resolve it. Because let's be real, the first thing about this is kids are going to push boundaries. They want to find out what the boundary is, and it's our job as parents to set the boundaries and maintain them. If they can provide a very good reason, then that boundary can move. There's not a reason to just set a boundary for no reason. There needs to be something behind it besides I told you so they understand the reasoning and the logic. Develop a little bit more into understanding why rules exist. All right, number one pitfall when it comes to gaming is a lot of people are not educated on what gaming is, what games are safe, what games aren't safe, so they just shut down the conversation immediately. Avoid this by going through, and if your kids are interested in gaming, say, I don't know enough to let you game right now. How about you help me do the research on what this is, and we'll decide together if this is an appropriate game for you or not. Now, there are sometimes that this isn't going to work, like if the kids are too young or if they're trying to get a brand new console. Anytime the money becomes an issue, that's a separate conversation that we'll cover right now. When it comes to money and how much gaming costs, it's a high barrier. I'm not gonna lie, $300 for one of the cheapest consoles, a Nintendo Switch Lite is actually $200. Your next ones are $300, $350, $400, $500, and then you have what the scalpers are charging on top of that. Does that make sense? No, like I don't want to do super high cost for just a little bit of laid back time. It needs to provide something more to the family besides just, hey, it's a game, right? Maybe make it a family experience, a family activity, because that's the next pitfall. Number three, not actually spending time with our kids. We just expect for them to enjoy the video games by themselves. This is an activity that needs us to guide, mentor, keep them safe, and be able to use it as a communication bridge instead of a barrier. A lot of people don't sit there because they're not interested in the video games and they think it's a childish activity, where if we actually go through and we say, this is an interesting topic or an interesting game, why do you like it so much? It allows for our kids to have the opportunity to open up and say, this is their interest, why they enjoy doing their interest. And it allows us to learn more about how their personalities are developing. And also if they start wandering into something that's not safe, we're there. We can shut down bad conversations. We can stop a game that's too mature for them before it gets out of hand. Number four kind of coincides, and it's talking down about games and saying that it's a childish activity. Our kids are kids, and we shouldn't be talking down about their interest, saying that it's a childish activity. We need to be able to go through and say, I don't understand this. Let's talk about it, and you can tell me what you like about it. That is something completely different than shutting it down and saying, oh, you need to like football because I like football. Communication is a two-way street. And showing shared interest or just interest in what somebody else is doing goes a long way to opening up that communication bridge. Number five, I blame on the news media, and I'm sorry to do this, but I really don't like the way that the news media portrays gaming in the gaming community because it puts fear into parents' heads and taints what we think before we even go through and ask our kids what they're doing online. I'm not going to say it's always like the smallest percentage of the population makes the biggest noise and therefore gains the most attention. If you've ever had to deal with the same people on a reoccurring basis, it's like the same 5% of people take up 90% of your time because they keep screwing up while the rest of the people are doing just fine. The gaming community might have toxicity and might have some bad stuff in there. We have ways to control that interaction that keeps it from being a limit for what our kids are doing. And truth be told, parents not being involved in how those other people are playing is why we have those toxic environments. If we can correct that issue for ourselves, maybe we can make the community a better place going forward. That's kind of the idea of Ridir Gaming. Number six is kind of a doozy, not paying attention to if the game is rated M for mature, T for teen, E for everybody, or E10, which is 10 years old and older. I know it's a weird rating system, but it happens to be that way. And if you're in the UK or Europe, there's a different rating system, PEGI, which has its own thing. There is a video that we have for that to explain what the different rating systems are. So the last one on this is not setting our boundaries and our restrictions. And we actually have tools that help us do this. Really, what we need to go through and do is say, if you're only allowed to play video games for this long, set that time limit and keep it there. We can use parental controls to actually set that time limit and make it enforced. Now, if our kids do really well and they have good grades, or they did really well at the soccer game or baseball game, then maybe they earned an extra bit of time, and we can use the technology and parental controls to give them that time without too much hassle. It's actually an app on our phone. There's communication guidelines. There's how they can talk to people, who they can talk to, what they can do. And those are the videos that are linked down below that explain all those for PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. So if you have one of those consoles or considering getting one, I would recommend watching those videos next. So in conclusion, I would just say we need to be mindful of how our kids are thinking and feeling, because we have to remember they have really big emotions and they don't necessarily know how to deal with them yet. Yes, it's technology. It can be scary, but we can learn and we can help guide them through the process and the situation. If you enjoyed this video, I also have a few more videos I think would be helpful. I have a parental control playlist, which will be linked right here. And I also have a couple others where thinking outside the box by using gaming and video games can help us teach and educate our kids. So I would recommend that video as well. This has been Wes from Ridir Gaming. Thank you for stopping by. Do good, play hard, game on, and I'll see you next time.